The child welfare system is complex, and working in it is not easy, especially when we have so many vacant positions. Even with all the challenges faced in the last fiscal year, the work of our child welfare program staff has resulted in the completion of 10,606 safety assessments, reuniting 759 children with their families, as Senator Groh just mentioned, finalized 382 adoptions, and worked with 1,191 licensed foster families to ensure the safety of children in Idaho. There is no question that collectively we can do better when it comes to the child welfare system in Idaho, which is much broader than just DHW. We want to do better. We owe it to the children of Idaho. I acknowledge the issues and reassure you that we are engaged in problem solving. And with your help, we plan to address the two main underlying issues in the department's child welfare program: staffing shortages and foster family shortages. The budget needs to help address these issues are found on pages 2-15 and 2-17 in your legislative budget book. The first issue is staffing. We are not immune to the staffing challenges facing most employers in Idaho. We have been especially challenged when it comes to child welfare safety assessors and case managers. One of the ways we hope to increase recruitment and prevent the loss of experienced staff is through recruitment and retention bonuses. The current staffing shortage we are experiencing is causing our caseworkers to be overloaded. That's a vicious cycle. When a staff member leaves, the amount of work does not decrease, which means the staff that are left see an increase in their workload, causing them even more stress in an already stressful job. While we have taken many steps to address recruitment and retention challenges, we're asking for your support of our supplemental and budget requests for additional personnel dollars to support recruiting and retention bonuses, along with a 7% increase in pay for certain staff on top of the normal CEC. In addition, we're requesting an additional 24 FTP. We have and will continue to engage in conversations with current staff and how to better support them and the families they serve in Idaho. When it comes to the foster care system, there are ways to reduce the number of children who enter into foster care, such as by providing in-home services to stabilize family situations or address emerging safety needs. These services are preventative, and when delivered at the right time and the right amounts, can result in children remaining safely at home with their parents. This enables the child to avoid foster care, which can be disruptive and traumatic to the child and the family. Implementing this level of intervention is only possible with the right amount of staff. We are asking for your support of the budget request to increase caseworker pay and fund recruiting and retention bonuses for additional FTP. We need to retain our experienced staff and provide them support by hiring additional staff. When we can't hire and retain the appropriate staff to support our children in foster care, children and families feel the impact. An example of that is that children can remain in foster care longer than is necessary, and that is a problem. The second issue is recruiting and retaining foster families. The department was unable to find foster homes for some children in the Treasure Valley during parts of 2021. Lack of foster homes meant we had to house children temporarily in hotels and short-term rentals. While not the only factor, an increase in the funding for foster families is part of the solution. Currently, Idaho pays among the lowest, in fact, the lowest stipends for foster care among any state anywhere around us in the West. And our heroic foster families who open their hearts and homes to support children in foster care are facing increased housing and other costs. These increased costs drive the need for more funding when it comes to foster homes, congregate care, adoption assistance, and other child welfare services. We are asking for your assistance in increasing our foster care maintenance rates and the associated increases to the adoption subsidy payments for children 0 to 21. These funds will assist foster parents in providing food, shelter, clothing, and more for the children placed in their care. We know there is much more to do. We remain focused on solving the staffing and foster family shortages we face. Additional funding is only one key element of the needed solution, and we have both supplemental and line item requests on our next slide to help us solve these problems. I'll talk about those now. First on our requests is a supplemental request for recruiting and retention bonuses for child welfare staff in the total dollar amount of $695,800. This is so we can address the staffing challenges we face right now. Next are three line items, which are, first is a request for 24 child welfare FTP for a dollar amount of $1,799,600. This is so we can staff to the appropriate level to support the children in foster care, to support the families that they come from, and to support the foster families who care for those kids. Next is item 2, which is a targeted CEC in the total dollar amount of $921,200. This is for a targeted CEC of 7% for our child safety assessor and case management staff, which would be on top of the already established CEC. And then finally is line item 3 on this page, which is for a foster care rate increase for a total dollar amount of $6,103,400. This is so we can raise the foster care rates. We'd be not lowest in anywhere around us, but somewhere middle of the pack. And with that, I'll stop for questions.
Thank you, Director, for a question. Representative Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director. I am probably not the only one that read the series put out by the Idaho Capital Sun on the Child Welfare Division, and it was very concerning. And I guess in the back of my mind, I see these requests which feel necessary to kind of boost what's going on there, but it seems like there are deeper cultural issues that are affecting recruitment and retention within that division. And I'm wondering if you've had an opportunity since that series came out to engage with staff there to get to the bottom of how we can fix the culture in this division.
Director.
Mr. Chairman Youngblood and Representative Nash. Thank you for the question. Yes, as I mentioned at the beginning of my comments, it's really important to me to stay connected to what the folks are actually doing. They're the ones doing real work. I'm just there to help them be successful. And like I said, the only way I know how to do that is to go out and talk to folks. It's been more challenging during the pandemic, so we've done that virtually. And I did have a town hall earlier in the year with our child welfare staff. We did conduct, as I mentioned, our engagement survey in October, and I actually went back after those articles came out and read almost all of the comments that came out of that. Our folks are very honest, which I really appreciate, because that's the only way I know how to solve problems, is when people are willing to talk about them. And then since those articles came out, Division Administrator Cameron and Deputy Director Miriam Unsworth and I have had direct reach out in town hall with those individuals, and Division Administrator Cameron actually meets almost every other week and has a two-way communication path that he's set up. I will tell you that the child welfare staff are, as are all the staff at DHW, are very open about what their concerns are, which I greatly appreciate. And that was very helpful to hear the concerns that were on their mind. I will say that it's different as you go around different parts of the state, and so probably the most acute frustration is right here in the Treasure Valley, whereas less frustration was expressed up north or in the east parts of the state. And I think that directly correlates to the staffing levels. The staffing levels that we're facing here in the Treasure Valley are the most dire as compared to other parts of the states. We're struggling everywhere, but it's more difficult here, and I think that has the compounding effect of increasing the concern the staff have. But the direct feedback we got was a couple of things. One of them was around the fact that these folks were not able to, they could get compensated comp time, but not paid for the overtime they were putting in. Subsequently, based on that feedback, we went to the Division of HR and proposed an exemption to allow these folks to get paid for their overtime, because they're putting in a lot of it, and many of them said that it was great to get comp time, but there's no way they can take their comp time, and then once you get a max comp time, it just goes, you can't earn anymore, and they can't take it anyway. So we have made that change. We've actually switched to now paying overtime for these folks as they put in those extra hours. I won't go through the whole list, but there were a number of things that they have mentioned and they continue to mention that we're actively addressing as a leadership team.